All right, everybody. It is that time once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is, of course, your boy Bernie here on The Charge, giving it to you live here at The Charge headquarters. Welcome, everybody. Of course, my name is Bernie here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Shout out to my guy, Adam, got me the sweatshirt. One of my former players that I was an assistant coach for, so it's great to see that he's doing well. I think they're actually practicing at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. So hope to see him kind of ball out in the near future. You know, hopefully everything is going to be all right for their season and from here on out. But I think we need to talk about something. Well, there's really two stories that we need to talk about here today. And the first story, of course, is the Kyrie Irving situation. Obviously, this one is probably going to make a lot of people upset. It's probably going to make a lot of people kind of question what's going on with Kyrie. But also, you know, it could be a situation of maybe they understand where Kyrie's coming from. Obviously, you know, Kyrie, I feel like ever since his mom died, has kind of been on a different path than I think a lot of NBA players are expected to take. You know, when we think about the players that have lost their moms before, they've kind of gone through some things. You know, we see Karl Anthony Towns kind of had the same ordeal, and we saw Kyrie Irving, I feel like, have the same effect. But at the end of the day, the Brooklyn Nets were not informed of anything that Kyrie Irving was doing. And so that's also something that we're going to be talking about here today. But like I said, before we do that, please remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new to The Charge. Remember, guys, the more likes, the more interaction we get with this, the more people come to the content and say, hey, I want to watch this. I want to continue to look at your content. And that's what's going to get us to a situation where a lot more people are going to look at the content. A lot more people are going to watch the videos. A lot more people are going to check out what The Charge is and what the community is all about. Of course, guys, we're all about discussion. We're all about making sure that we're having fun, talking basketball, talking some smack once in a while. You know how it is when it comes to basketball. I feel like the machismo out of people, whether you're male or female, comes out of you. And so you want to talk that smack. And I think that this is a perfect place and opportunity to do it. So with that being said, let's move on and look at the first story that we have here today. So this first one is going to be coming from Worldwide Wob. You know that he is kind of a Twitter, I would say, analyst or someone that you should look at for content. And we're going to watch his video as to the surrounding facts around the leaked Kyrie Irving video.
Okay, folks, here we go with another Wob investigation, this time to clear up the reports of Kyrie Irving being out celebrating during his Nets leave of absence due to what he said was personal reasons. Reports dropped everywhere late Monday night with a video of what appears to be Kyrie attending a party. Now, things we know. It's Kyrie's dad's birthday on January 12th. He even posted about it on Instagram. It's also his sister Asia's birthday on January 12th. We can find this information with a simple Google search. More importantly, it's her 30th birthday. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, let's view the viral video in its entirety.
Make some noise, y'all. Make some noise. Make some noise.
Frame by frame reveals different clues as to where the events transpired. First, we are introduced to a giant disco ball looking thing hanging from the ceiling, which I found to match the following picture from the venue. Next, remember that giant looking TV command center where the architect from The Matrix lived? Yep, it's in the same venue. How did I find these pictures, you ask? Well, I used Twitter's advanced search for the word club to clue me to one of Kyrie's favorite hotspots in West Orange, New Jersey, where he's from. After Googling the address, it brings us to a venue named 466 Caterers. They even have their own Twitter page. Okay, so you're probably still curious about those pictures. So if we do a basic Google search of 466 Caterers, click.
And I want to make sure you guys are watching the whole thing so you can kind of understand the
gallery.
context.
We can file the accusation that this is indeed the venue of the gathering. Now, why does the venue matter? It matters because the highest trending post on NBA Reddit with millions of followers right now says this. It is my belief this headline is incorrect. Very Incorrect. As we move on, let's analyze some Easter eggs provided to us, starting with the balloons. A, I, X, X, X. Asia, Irving, X plus X plus X in Roman numerals equals 30. The video continues, and we have a cake with what appears to be Kyrie watching Asia blow out candles surrounded by the number 30. Let's just let the video run through now all the way to the end until we get to our closing act. The boys are back in town as Kyrie and his confidants pose for a picture. The next step I took was to search Asia Irving's tags on Instagram to see if she was included in any posts lately. Wouldn't you guess it? But she appears in one of the confidants' Instagram profile uploads. Now we move on to when this took place. And for our clues, we take note of Asia's attire for the evening and when the post was published. 1 day ago. With Kyrie and Asia on the dance floor in the second video, we can confirm that Asia is wearing the same outfit from the confidant's IG post, suggesting to us that this event most likely occurred either over the weekend or into the early hours of Monday. Could this be an old video just uploaded now? Sure, that can't be ruled out. But as we traverse through Asia's Instagram profile, we are led to believe from multiple posts that she was recently located in a tropical paradise, posted 4 days ago. There you have it, folks. Hopefully this clears up any confusion as to what Kyrie was actually doing in the video currently making the rounds on the internet. I'll leave the judging up to you, but for now, this swab investigation is closed.
Alrighty, thank you again, guys. This guy is a very good follow. If you guys don't follow him, the Worldwide Wob. So this guy, like I said, is really good. I love his content, and you can tell that I follow him on the just my personal account. But nevertheless, everybody, this to me is probably the most frustrating thing, I think, if I am a Brooklyn Nets owner, a GM, Steve Nash, Kevin Durant. This to me is the biggest WTF moment I probably think in NBA history. Because we really think about the times that we live in. And I will 100% keep that same energy that I had for James Harden. I will keep it here today for Kyrie Irving. Even though, Kyrie Irving did, kind of break my heart in Boston, I still have to keep that same energy when it comes to him celebrating a birthday, first of all, in a private gathering with no masks, 30th birthday party. I understand the whole situation at hand. But right now, we are in a pandemic. Whether you agree with the pandemic or not, the consensus is that we are in one. And people right now are frustrated. They're upset because they want to be able to go out. They want to be able to go and do things. Meanwhile, you have Kyrie Irving who's saying, and I believe, let me see if I can pull up this, kind of this email from him, or like kind of an email to tell the whole team. Let me see here really quick. I wish I had this pulled up right away. Let me see here. Kyrie email. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see here. See if I can find it really quick. I don't know if I can find it. But yeah, I don't think I can find it. The thing is with this email, guys, like basically Kyrie Irving kind of said, this coronavirus is we're going different. I think my friend texted it to me. So let me go into our chat and look at this situation at hand. And let me read it to you what it said. So this is what the email has to say, and it's by Alex Schiffer. Kyrie released a statement through a spokesperson. So this is the note from Kyrie Irving, and I'm going to read to you guys verbatim. A note from Kyrie Irving. COVID-19 has impacted us all in so many ways, so I pray for the health and safety of our communities domestically and abroad. I am truly excited for the season to start, and I'm also praying for that everyone remains safe and healthy throughout this journey. Instead of speaking to the media today, I am ensuring everyone that the statement to ensure that my message is conveyed properly. And, this is kind of stemming from what we talked about earlier. I'm committed to show up to work every day, have fun, compete, perform, win championships alongside my teammates, colleagues in the Nets organization. And then the last bit I'll read is, life hit different this year, and it requires me to move differently. And, when I read that and when I look at the video that we just saw, come on, Kyrie, you've got to be better than that, man. I understand that there was a video out there just now where I believe you were with, if I'm not mistaken, if we look up here, I believe you were with, you attended a virtual event for the Manhattan District Attorney candidate, Taheen Abushi, at 7 p.m. tonight, and the Nets tipped off, and we can see here that Kyrie Irving is pictured right here with a bunch of other people in the Zoom meeting, which, again, if this is kind of the cause that you want to go for, I am okay with that, honestly. But what is not okay, and what I think is kind of frustrating to me, is that I think you can honestly do that call anytime. If you're really about her campaign and what she stands for as a politician or whatever you think about her, that I feel like that can wait because you have a job to do. And I'm sorry, man. I know that this is going to sound old head. This is going to sound like you're like an old man, but jobs come first. I'm sorry. How do you expect Kyrie Irving to put bread on the table or to provide for his family, whether he has a son, a daughter, a wife, a husband, whatever you roll with? How are you going to be providing for your loved ones if this is the direction and the place that you're going to be going? And even Adrian Wojnarowski, and I know that Adrian Wojnarowski is probably one of the biggest haters out here. Nah, you're good, Logan. How you doing, man? Probably the biggest hater out here in terms of being a Kyrie hater. But he said this: if Brooklyn's Kyrie Irving is found to have violated the league health and safety protocols, he's facing a proportional game reduction of 1/186 of his salary, so $410 per game. He would forfeit that money for every game lost because of the mandate isolation. League's probing the video now. And I think that the league has every right to look at Kyrie Irving and say, look, Kyrie, I understand that it is your sister's 30th birthday party. I understand that it's a special time in her place. It's a special time in anybody's place, right? When you turn 30, that's like the official, okay, now it's time to start, seeing where your career takes you, or kind of like it's almost kind of like those realizations in life, right? Whether you're turning 20 years old, whether you're turning 30, 40, even 50. 50 is kind of like the big one that everybody hits. This, to me, if I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, I want Kyrie gone. Because it looks to me that Kyrie Irving has different aspirations. It has different mindsets than trying to win a championship with Kevin Durant. And I'm sure Kevin Durant's looking at him and being like, why did you want me to come here if you're not going to help me out, man? And it's just one of those things, man, that it's just kind of like, you owe it to your organization. You owe it to your team to help them compete for a championship. I'm not saying that you need to be there each and every night. I'm not asking for that because that's unrealistic now in today's game, right? We look at today's game and we see that playing all 82 games or all 72 games, because there's only 72 this season, is probably unrealistic in many aspects. But I do expect you to be there for your teammates, be there for your guys. And meanwhile, he's MIA. He doesn't tell Steve Nash. You don't tell the head coach, hey, coach, I'm going to be gone today. I'm going through some things. There's stuff that I need to go through. But, man, I have never been more frustrated in an NBA superstar than Kyrie Irving. And this is more frustrating than him leaving us in Boston. Seriously, it is more frustrating than him leaving us in Boston. I do think that he is pissed, Logan, because, think about it. Kyrie or KD went to Brooklyn because Kyrie said, hey, man, let's play in Brooklyn and, try and win a championship there and not New York Knicks. Not for the Knicks, because Kevin Durant was heavily linked to the Knicks and so was Kyrie Irving. But they decided to go in the direction of going to Brooklyn, try and win a championship there, try to create titles and aspirations. And what I'm seeing from him is that stuff doesn't matter to him. And I think it matters to KD a little bit more than I think it does Kyrie. Because I think Kevin Durant's trying to enter in that conversation of trying to be one of the best to ever do it. But how can he do it when you don't have a reliable teammate? And that's why I think they do need to start looking at trade options for Kyrie. Because I don't know which Kyrie I'm going to get. Am I going to get the guy that balls out where he hit a tough layup on LaMelo Ball one night where it was like, how did he, he was going to his right and then was somehow able to adjust his body to score with his left. Like, that's the Kyrie Irving that we all love and that's all we want to watch. But man, it's just going sad, man. It's just like it's just going to one of those situations where you want to understand why he's doing it. Not necessarily like you're mad at him or it's kind of like a parent with their kid. You're not like gonna hate your kid, but you're gonna ask them why did they do it. If for example, like if you hit your car to like a pole or something like that, your mom and dad they might be mad. But more importantly, they're going to say, why did you do it? Like, what happened? And I think that's where KD is at right now with his career, man. Corvette. Too bad if I sing anymore, they'll ban the stream. But, it's just one of those things where it is frustrating to me as someone who appreciates Kyrie Irving's game, that sees him as someone that could really be potentially a great player, now be in a situation where the NBA has to be put in this predicament of now we might have to actually suspend Kyrie Irving for, having an illegal birthday party that his sister had. So this is the official statement from the NBA, from the general manager, Sean Marks of the Brooklyn Nets. We are aware of a video that came we are aware of a video on social media featuring Kyrie Irving at the family gathering. We are reviewing the circumstance with both Kyrie and the NBA in order to determine the compliance with the health and safety protocols. Kyrie remains away from the team due to personal reasons. A date of his return has yet to be finalized. In the meantime, we will continue to stay focused on our organizational goals. Kyrie will have the opportunity to address his absence when he's ready to do so. And I think that this is the perfect opportunity for the Brooklyn Nets to say, we disassociate with Kyrie Irving, and we're not going to protect him, because I think he does have to sound to the media. Look, you don't have to always be buddy-buddy with the media. I'm not asking you to be like best friends with Brian Windhorst or Zach Lowe or any of these other guys or like Adrian Wojnarowski or Sham. I'm not asking my NBA players to be best friends or buddy-buddy with them. But what I am asking them to do is if there is questions about something, you answer them. I don't care how trivial and how dumb they are. Because you can basically give a dumb and trivial answer right back, or you can give a very simple answer and be done with it. But meanwhile, I feel like Kyrie Irving makes a bigger deal out of it than anything else. Like, it kind of reminds me of the Marshawn Lynch situation where he was in the Super Bowl. He's not trying to get fined for not speaking to the media. And look, like, you don't have to be like this sort of like intellectual, like, I need to give every philosophical answer, like I'm Socrates or like one of these Greek mythologists that just creates like, the meaning of life and asking those questions. Like, that's not what we're seeing here. But man, it is really, like I said, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm really holding his feet to the fire, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Because it is true. It's not fair to the rest of the Brooklyn Nets who have to be there. Who have to try and cover for Kyrie Irving, because if they end up in this horrible, let's look at the standings right now. Look at the NBA league standings. And let's look at the league standings right now. You see, like the Celtics right now, number one just because of the COVID protocol, stuff like that. The Brooklyn Nets right now are 6-6, 3-3 in the conference, 2-0 in the division, with a win streak of 1 so far. So, obviously, it's still early in the season. Anything can happen, but man, like I said, I would be frustrated as hell if I'm a Knicks fan. Knicks fans, you're always frustrated, but they're actually doing pretty good this season for what we expect from them. 5 wins already is more than what we expected. But they're still 1 loss behind the Brooklyn Nets. And that to me is kind of one of those things where you're just looking at the Nets and looking at their losses. Let's look at this team really quick and see their schedule. They had the standings. Nets, Durant passes Dwayne Wade on the career scoring list. Great for him. And, with ruled out, this is where he decides to do instead. And like I said, like, I don't care if if you're trying to support your favorite politician to support one of the causes that you have. Like, hey, by all means, do it. But do it at the right time, man. Real talk. What's the difference between Kyrie doing this and what Lou will be doing at the strip club visit strictly for the wings, though? I mean, the difference I would say is that like you're celebrating your sister's 30th birthday, and then you got Lou Will that's just going to, get the wings and obviously, stay for the after show, right? But at the end of the day, it is one of those things, where you look at it and you start to think it's not that much different, to be honest with you. It's not. It's really not that much different if we really think about it, right? Because look, I understand that Kyrie Irving is frustrated. I understand that he is in a position where he just wants to just, not really deal with what's going on. Like he doesn't want to. Obviously, the stuff that happened at the Capitol, maybe that affected him. I'm not gonna be like a psychiatrist and like psychoanalyze his brain. But man, it's just like Lou Will's giving the free. No, I don't know if you were ever watching my show, Logan, or if you were like paying attention. Like I think the whole media clowned Lou Will for it, just like everybody clowned James Harden for what he did going to the strip club with Lil Baby or trying to boss. Oh, I can't remember what it was. Celebrating a boss, like a woman being a boss. I think that's kind of what James Harden tried to say, and kind of his excuse as to why he shouldn't be punished and why he should just be free of charges. But look, Lou Will, Kyrie, and James Harden are in the same boat, and they strictly did the same things. And I am not giving a pass to any of those three guys. We are in a situation where people can't even work at the moment because they're just not allowed to right now. And, for some of the jobs, you have to kind of be a little bit, you can't have the restrictions in, and some people can't have jobs because some jobs are not able to adequately accommodate the CDC guidelines or the WHO guidelines. And that's costing a lot of people business. But meanwhile, you got guys like, James Harden, Lou Will, and Kyrie Irving having birthday parties and doing these events where, look, what is the real, like, if you don't want to get caught, if you don't want to get snitched on, because obviously, this video was leaked online because somebody was like, ooh, we see Kyrie Irving kind of hanging out with his sister. Looks like his sister's 30th birthday party. Looks like they're having an illegal gathering. And we know that illegal gatherings are illegal, I believe, in the state of New York and also the state of New Jersey at the moment, just kind of like creating small gatherings. Obviously, I think it's dumb, in my opinion, but, I will let other people to kind of decide what they think about it. But, I do think what is frustrating to me about it is that Kyrie Irving talked about the global pandemic, talked about the healthcare workers, talked about like the whole situation going at hand. And, you're seeing the same results, man. You're seeing the same, rich people doing dumb things again. Because like we talked about like, we talk about these politicians doing it. We talk about like Lou Will, James Harden. We talk about these athletes doing it, celebrities even. And we know that the celebrities are going like, that Kim Kardashian and her family for her birthday party went to some, I don't know, Bahamas or whatever, situation that is. Like, look, I think a lot of people are going to be pissed about it, man. Maybe dumb question. Does the whole narrative about Kyrie's situation change if he wore a mask at the party? No, I don't think it necessarily changes it, Logan, just because if you think about it, like whether he was wearing a mask or not, I think like to me is kind of irrelevant because you could do temperature checks. You could be like, you could even do COVID testing and be like, yeah, we did COVID testing on all the people at the party. They were fine. Like that to me isn't the issue. The issue for me is that you are literally partying, celebrating your sister's life or life of birth and all this other stuff, which everybody has the right to do. I don't necessarily blame that. But I think with the transparency of Kyrie Irving is just non-existent. Like he's not being consistent and transparent with the Brooklyn Nets, with Steve Nash, with Kevin. Maybe he is with Kevin Durant, but like especially with Steve Nash, like that's your head coach. Whether you don't like him or whether you think that you're the head coach, you still picked him to be your head coach, and you still have to give him the respect of, hey, I'm not going to be here today at practice. I'm going through some things, and it just kind of makes that narrative of him going through personal reasons. It's kind of going to throw it down the water, and now the NBA is actually investigating like what is the personal reasons, because for the NBA they're looking at it as like, look, one of our players might be going through something. Let's see what we can do to get in the tools, the access to help him deal with the situation that he's dealing with. And now we're seeing full light there may not be an actual personal reason as to why. Yeah, the personal reason might be, yeah, I'm trying to, celebrate my sister's 30th birthday party. There was rumors and the Adrian Wojnarowski, the tweet here by him, we talk about this as being one of the stories, we see here. Let me see if I can find it. Trying to see if it's anywhere here. I don't know why that looked like the the Bears uniform. Let's see here if I can find it. I had it. Oops, maybe I have to go forward. When we go to this tweet, let me see if I can find it really quick. Oh, we got a farewell.
Yeah, thanks.
Looks like he might be leaving Houston. We'll actually talk about that in a little bit and see what that's about. Because I didn't really watch that. Obviously, I haven't really been watching today's games, just because I believe some of them are postponed. But let me see if I can find it. So this is the one right here. He talked about the story of like Kyrie being at a party with Drake in Toronto. Like, how do we know that didn't happen? How do we know that Drake had a party and that Kyrie Irving was there? How do we know that? And it really starts, and I'm not starting to believe in. We're starting to believe in these sort of like, it's like now we start doubting like whether or not Kyrie Irving was actually at another party. Like, how do we know that Kyrie Irving wasn't doing something else? Like, I understand that he's obviously with, I can't remember the lady's name, but she is a district attorney, I believe, at, let me see where she was at. With district attorney candidate Tanai Abushi, like he was at her event, which, I have no problem with. But look, you still have a job. You're still an NBA basketball player. Whether, and if Kyrie Irving wants to retire and start going in that direction, I am okay with that. I will 100% back him on that, because if that is his new passion now, I will back anybody with that. But I think Kyrie Irving forgets that he is also a ball player, that needs to also, because like the clout and the power that comes from NBA players is actually playing basketball. And for the past couple of days now, we haven't seen Kyrie Irving play basketball. And Gabby, you said he has a job. If he's not showing up, he shouldn't get paid. And that I 100% agree with that. He shouldn't get paid. Like, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets and I gave this man guaranteed money to play basketball and to start working, and it doesn't matter what the reason is. Like, you could be, and I know that it's a lazy comparison when people say, oh, well, if it was my job, we'd get fired. And it's true though. Like, look, the NBA obviously is different. Sports is different. Being a celebrity is different, because you are granted these privileges. You're granted these sort of, I would say, you're granted these privileges. You're granted this situation at hand where you are allowed to kind of bend the rules a little bit as it pertains to work. But man, not showing up for a couple days, that to me is kind of a big, like, no for me. Like, it's a no for me. And it's one of those situations, and I'm going to sit down in just 1 second because I feel like standing is killing me at the moment. It's just one of those things where we have to start looking at Kyrie Irving and start asking ourselves some questions about, like, what's going on with Kyrie, like, mentally, because it's starting to be a little scary, in my opinion, the way that, we haven't really seen him play basketball in a little bit. And we all know how good Kyrie Irving is. That's kind of the crazy thing about it. Like, we know how good Kyrie Irving can be. But right now, he's not acting like, the Kyrie Irving that we all know and love. He's acting like someone completely different. And so let me see here. Are we back? Alrighty. Not sure why it's like tilted like that. But, at the end of the day, what is frustrating, I would say, like I was talking about, with a guy like Kyrie Irving, a guy like, it's one of those things where you just look at everything and you just see that it is, I guess it's frustrating. And I think that the NBA needs to start looking at it and start investigating, like, what is going on with Kyrie Irving right now. Because like I said, I could be angry about it. I could be upset about it. And I could talk in like this aggressive voice that I've been doing for the last 30 minutes. But if I have to talk in this type of voice, this is the one thing I will say, Kyrie Irving, I think it's time to start playing basketball. Because, God gave you those gifts. Like, whatever deity you believe in. For me, it's God. And so, God gave you those gifts to play basketball. And obviously, like I said, you can use those gifts to get other things. But if you're not using those gifts, like if you're not like committed to playing basketball 100%, then I think he needs to retire. And I don't think that's a stretch of an imagination. I believe Kevin Durant talked about retiring early. And I think Kyrie Irving might be the same boat, because I think the media is starting to get to him a little bit. I think that he kind of saw that, like, and this is the thing. I called Kyrie Irving the Nightwing of the NBA because he wanted to be his own superstar. He wanted to be his own guy. As soon as he won the championship with Cleveland and started now to become his own guy, I was thinking, okay, he's trying to become his own man. He's trying to become the number one option on a team. He went to Boston. They got injured. They were one game away from going to the NBA Finals that year. And it's just one of those things that you just see here, man. I think Kyrie Irving needs to retire. I really do, because I don't think that his heart's really in basketball right now. And that's A-okay, Just like, in life, your heart can sometimes not be into things. Like at some point, hopefully, I don't think this will ever happen for me. But basketball, for example, this podcast or coaching, at some point you do have to retire. You do have to hang the cleats up or hang the whistle up or whatever it is that you do. But, be honest with your employer. Be honest with them, because I think that, like, as someone that if I were to, hire people, or if I was in a position where I could hire employees, I would really ask them, like, is your heart in this? Like I would pull Kyrie Irving into my office and be like, hey, I want you to take your time and assess, like, whether or not you think that basketball is part of your future, but I need to know soon. I need to know in the next week or two whether you're committed to this team or not. And that's something that the Nets have to ask Kyrie Irving. Are you committed or not? Are you committed to playing with Kevin Durant? Are you committed to this team? Are you committed to your teammates? If that's the case, if you're not committed to them, then I think you really start to have to look at, like, retirement. You have to start looking at, okay, we're gonna have to start playing and start planning the season without Kyrie Irving. And there's a lot of money involved from both sides. I'm sure Kyrie Irving is not going to be wanting to go out without earning his money. But man, it's just kind of sad because the dude's 28. It's not like he's 50. It's not like he's 45. It's not like he's 38. The man is 28 years old. And he has so much good basketball left in him. It's crazy to think about him even remotely thinking about retiring. But man, it's one of those things where I just want to look at Kyrie Irving and just ask, what's the deal? Like, what's going on? Like, why are we in a situation where we have to now debate, should Kyrie Irving retire? Should he even try and play basketball anymore? When I know that he's good enough to just be like a complete baller and completely, dominate the league with his dribble ability, have a chance to at least get to the NBA Finals with this Kevin Durant Brooklyn Nets team, with Steve Nash leading the offense. Like, this to me is kind of one of those things where it is very frustrating, and I hope that I'm wrong in the way I'm talking about. And I don't think that they would release him necessarily, Logan, but I think they should really look at saying, hey, you know what? If you're not going to play for 1 to 2 months with whatever's going on, we are 100% agreement, but we ain't paying for that. I'm sorry. Like, how can you as an organization be okay? Like, here's the thing. Certain superstars get superstar treatment. That's just the way life is. Your best employees are going to get away with some things that your employees underneath that employer or underneath that employee will not get. But it does set a bad precedent that, like, for example, if Kyrie Irving's saying, like, I'm going through some personal things, I'm not going to be playing. Like, what if Kevin Durant did that? What if Torian Prince did that? What if Spencer Dinwiddie, he's injured right now, so he wouldn't do it. What if Jared Allen and Caris LeVert, what if all those guys did the same thing Kyrie Irving did? You set a bad precedent for what's going to be going on for your organization. Like, the Brooklyn Nets can't afford these players to be taking breaks when we know that there's a pandemic going on, when we know that player bodies right now are short because of COVID and the situation that, a player might not even be available. And so I think you need to start looking long and hard if I'm Kyrie Irving. You need to let me know in the next week or two, are you committed or are you not? Because I don't want a guy that's like half in and half out. I want a guy that's either fully committed to playing the game, or you know what? Don't play the game. Just enjoy your life. Do things that you want to do. And that's something I would tell Kyrie Irving straight up if he was here, because I'm not going to be a yes man for these guys. I'm not going to be a yes man in certain aspects. Like, there's some things that you do have to be yes man for, but this is not one of them. And I'm sorry, like this to me, if Kyrie, I'm really going to be like straight up with Kyrie and say like, hey man, are you in or are you out? And if he's out, you say best of luck. I hope everything works out well for you. I hope that you and your family are safe and healthy. And we wish you best of luck in your future endeavors with whatever it is, whether it's in politics, whether it's in, what are you going to do? Like, and I'm saying it right now, Logan, like that's what I would do as the GM. Like I would honestly tell Kyrie, like, look, we are in a season right now where we are 6-6. We can't afford any more losses. Not saying that like wins or losses are everything, but I think it's unfair to Steve Nash. I think it's unfair to the coaching staff. I think it's unfair to the GM. I think it's unfair to the owner that if you're not fully committed in this, if you're not committed to the art of getting better, of working on your craft, of working to build the team, which we saw that the Brooklyn Nets, they looked like they were going to be a good team. Obviously a lot of people predicted them to go to the the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's just one of those things, Logan. Like if I'm the GM, like I said, I would ask him like, look, the one thing I want to know, Kyrie, I don't need to know the personal reasons. I don't need to know any of that stuff. The one thing I do want to know, Kyrie, is are you committed to this basketball organization? Are you committed to helping us try and achieve and win the championship and try to create something here in Brooklyn that no team has really done before? And if he says no, and if that's the case, if he says no, Logan, if he says he's not committed, I'm honestly saying best of luck, in your future endeavors, whatever it is, but we just can't have this in the organization. And I would honestly say like to him, look, Kyrie, there's a couple of options that we can do here. We can trade you and be on a team where you can be closer. Because here's the thing. We know that Brooklyn is probably the best bet besides the Knicks that Kyrie Irving has to kind of being in an organization where it's close to home. He's close to his mom, his dad. He's close to his sister and close to the guys that he grew up with. In that New Jersey area. And you just have to look at him and just be like, look, we're either going to trade you or you're going to have to retire. Because I can't pay a guy if he's not willing to commit to the season, if he's not willing to commit to the long term. You just signed an extension with him. And Kyrie Irving's probably like, GM, like, I'm so excited. We're going to win a championship. We're going to get Kevin Durant. This team is looking really good. They're looking nice. And then all of a sudden, it's like 4 or 5 games, and he's not even there. Didn't even play tonight. Was at an event. That's like we don't see LeBron James, like as much as LeBron James is an activist, which I totally respect. I totally respect any of these players. Jaylen Brown's the same way. But Jaylen Brown isn't skipping a practice. He's not skipping a game to attend an event. And that's the thing. Like if I'm the GM, I tell him that, like, look, I understand that this is very important to you. I do. I think he is the Antonio Brown of the NBA, man. It's really sad because I think that he's shown that he can be a great player. He's shown numerous amount of times that this Brooklyn Nets team could be a solid NBA team that could go against the LA Lakers and give them a run for their money. I have the Lakers winning in 5 games no matter what. But this Brooklyn Nets team definitely, does the job and definitely gets in the way of them trying to win a championship. And so I think at the end of the day, and what I'm noticing here from everybody, and I think we're gonna have to move the Let me change the title because I have to move the subject of the NBA. NBA rules are silly, and talk about this James Harden news because this is really big. Let me just change the title of the stream. We'll just go here. Alrighty. And we're going to talk about this Houston Rockets scenario that we got going on here. And we'll talk about what he said and just kind of what, and you can see here at the top what he said. But just kind of my closing remarks on Kyrie Irving. If he's going through something, I hope he gets the help. I hope that he is able to talk to somebody. I hope the NBA is willing to intervene and help him get the help that he needs, whether, if he's dealing with something internally or if he's dealing with something mentally. I hope that he gets the help he needs. But I also hope that he's going to, own up to what's going on. Like, if he's like, you know what, I'm going through some things right now, like mentally it's not good, but I think he does have to answer for what we saw with the birthday party, him being at the Zoom link for the Attorney General for the Brooklyn district. He does have to talk about that. But let's move on away from that and talk about another player that's dealing with another scenario of trying to move away, and that is, of course, James Harden. And we're going to look up the James Harden video really quick because he did talk about a situation and talked about what he sounded like after the podium. So this is what he said here. And this is a quote, of course, coming from Tim McManaman. James Harden says the Rockets are just not good enough. I love the city. I literally have done everything I can. I mean, the situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. And this, to me, is the final nail in the coffin. We read a story yesterday about Real GM saying that the Rockets were confident that they could potentially help, they can make a case to keep James Harden in Houston. And I think this is the final nail on the head. So let's look at this video.
It's crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, yeah, thanks.
And of course, that was kind of a short snippet. We see here that this is basically James Harden committing to leaving Houston. And I think that's 100% correct. And we'll look at Adrian Wojnarowski's tweets. So this is what Adrian Wojnarowski had to say. Let me just take off that really quick. So he said that James Harden, aware that the Rockets are continuing to discuss trade scenarios with teams, although no deal is imminent, sources tell ESPN. Houston asking price remains steep, as you expect for a player of Harden's caliber. And if I'm the Houston Rockets, I am 100% okay with that because, you're dealing with a player that's a superstar, man. Like that, he could really change a playoff. He can change a team. He can change the situation at hand with whatever situation's going on. But I do think that it is time. Like we started looking at that, and okay, Sean, you posted, look at James Harden, looks so thick. He is very thick. Let's look at this again. Look at that. Thick, especially in the blue, man. He looks really thick in the blue. Blue is definitely not his color, man. That's what, okay. And I know that, we shouldn't make fun of people's weight and stuff like that, but man,
James Harden,
he's looking like Snack Harrison right now. If you guys don't know who Snack Harrison is, he was a former D tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's on the Packers now, if I'm not mistaken, but he looks like Snack Harrison there. And it's just like, he definitely had that pregame meal. I mean, look at this. That's every LA Fitness Hooper's dream is to be that thick and playing basketball, man. Oh, my bad. Let's see here if you can see the scroll.
James Harden definitely had a pregame meal, averaging 17 points per game over the last four.
And I think that this is and I know that Charles Barkley did it. I know that the NBA legends have done it before where they were overweight or they kind of milked an injury so they could get out of a situation. But man, look, we know he hasn't scored more than 20 points in 4 straight games, his longest streak since 2012. So obviously he's struggling. He's frustrated. And the thing with James Harden, man, is that like I do think that he needs to look himself in the mirror and be committed to being in shape. Like, look, I can understand like your best trade asset or like the best way to get off a team is to do things that the team would not necessarily like you to do. So casually says definitely had pregame meal. Like it's just kind of one of those things, man. Like I think James Harden needs to be a little bit careful with the weight because I don't want him to like overeat just for the sake of like trying to prove a point or trying to be like, well, I'm overeating so I don't have to stay on the team. I don't think that that's necessarily right either. But yeah, we're kind of seeing here that from Tim McManaman, so the Rockets just aren't good enough. And I just think that this kind of leads to the scenario of if you're the Houston Rockets, what do you do? Cameron Casey, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Guys, remember we are also live on Twitch as well. Let me pull up my Twitch really quick so you guys can follow me on Twitch as well if you are interested in following me on Twitch. How many times can I say Twitch in a single episode? So if you guys notice here, we are live on Twitch as well. We're just chatting. We also chat it up on Twitch. So if you guys are interested in following the channel, again, it is the Charge Podcast. Our old logo, what we used to have back in the day. So if you guys, like I said, are interested in following us on Twitch, here it is. Check it out if you guys are interested. And we will kind of continue on the show. Again, appreciate the follow on Twitch. Appreciate it. But let's talk about the situation at hand. And like I said, let's go back to kind of the James Harden scenario and just talking about it. Like I said, James Harden right now is in a situation where we see that it's just causing a lot of pain. It's causing a lot of just terrible culture that you're setting for these people. Like, if I'm James Harden, like I get it, man. I get that there is a situation where you could just be like upset, and just kind of like being in a situation where like it just, I understand like the Houston Rockets is not the place that you want to be because you want to win a championship. But I also think that Houston has to be realistic and they have to lower their price a little bit. Because I think people realize like we're not going to do the Carmelo Anthony trade. We're not going to trade away our assets just to get James Harden for a year or two and then it ends up just falling apart and we can't compete for a championship the next couple years. And I think you're definitely seeing that with James Harden. Like, no one wants to trade. Like, other than I believe the 76ers, which I think that the 76ers were smart, I would take that trade. If I'm the Houston Rockets, I also would take that trade because, look, you get Ben Simmons, a young, proven point guard. I understand you have John Wall, you have DeMarcus Cousins, but, man, it is hard to kind of deal with that. And so that's kind of what I want to see from the situation at hand. And so, we'll see what happens here. But like I said, it is frustrating. If I'm Houston right now, you're frustrated with the way James Harden's looking, the way he's playing. And I'm sure that everybody on that organization wants Harden gone because it's obviously creating a toxic environment. It's creating a situation where these players don't want to play for them. And so, it's just kind of one of those things where I want to see the Houston Rockets right now look to kind of lessen their stance on the trade value and take players that they normally wouldn't take. Like, for example, take Marcus Smart. And that's just me being biased for my Celtics to try and get James Harden on the team without giving away Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Like, I would be okay with that. I would be okay with trying to get that. But, at the end of the day, there is scenarios that we have to see here. And I think that it's time to start looking at trade options for James Harden. But I think it starts with the Houston Rockets lowering their stance. And I understand that James Harden's value is astronomical because we all know what James Harden can do in a single bound. Don't talk on my ASB like that. We not toxic. You don't think James Harden's toxic right now? You don't think that what he's doing, as like the way that he's trying to get out of Houston isn't toxic? Because I think I'd beg to differ because, look, we've seen players say like, what? We love the city. We like what we're doing here. The thing is you don't want to stronghold yourself. Like I'm curious to see like, and this is not basketball related, but even like a guy like Deshaun Watson, same thing, wants to get out of Houston, wants to be out of the Texans. I want to see what he does. Like, does he overeat so he doesn't play quarterback? Or like, does he, because in the NFL, I feel like it's a little bit different because I feel like a lot of people can be replaced unless like you are like that good. And obviously no one can replace Deshaun Watson because I think Deshaun Watson's a very good player. But, man, it's one of those things right now that we're seeing with the Houston Rockets where, James Harden is just, I don't think he's taking care of his body like he should. I don't think that he's necessarily doing the right things to make sure that he's not doing the right things to ensure that, like, if a team does trade for him, that, like, he's going to shed off these, like, quarantine 25 out of there. He's been there since you were like 8 and still ain't get a ring. I'd want to be traded too. I mean, I get that. I get that James Harden's kind of been there for a while. Obviously didn't get the contract extension in Oklahoma City and said, you know what, I'm just going to go to Houston. And obviously balled out and won an MVP and became a superstar player. But the Houston Rockets organization gave you all the things that you wanted on your list. Like, he had a checklist. Dwight Howard, developing Clint Capella, getting a guy like Chris Paul, getting Russell Westbrook. Like, they did everything for James Harden. And James Harden still does this to them. Like, look, if you're like, we've done everything that we can. We had one opportunity to win the championship, which I thought was the first year that Chris Paul was there. And that was kind of the one where I'm like, yeah, like that's basically it. That's like the only time that I think the Houston Rockets could potentially win. And I do think that at the moment, what I'm seeing here is that a guy that's just not grateful for what the Houston Rockets gave to him. Like, the Houston Rockets did everything. It's not like the Houston Rockets said, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. They gave you the head coach you want. They gave you the center you want. They gave you the point guard you want. They gave you everything. I'm talking everything besides a ring. And you're right. No one wants to play with James Harden. Like, no one does. Because the way that he plays, his style of play is not conducive to winning. Like, what has his style done? Like, he missed 27 threes in a row, and obviously I'm talking about the whole team, not just James Harden. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't want to see James Harden out the league because I think he's that damn good. Like, he needs to start learning to adapt his game because there's situations at hand where I could see, oh my God, just yawning everywhere. Like, I could see him being a great player for somebody if he played like he did in Oklahoma City. Like, more of a point guard and letting him facilitate the offense and getting guys involved. Like, I think that's the way that James Harden has to be. But right now, he's playing like an absolute... Like, he's just not playing like the way that we know he can. And that's just kind of the frustrating thing, in my opinion. And so, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens with James Harden. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of the story? Do you guys agree with what I'm saying, or do you guys disagree with the situation? Like, do you guys think that James Harden right now is putting himself in a position to get a nice trade, or do you think that he's kind of screwing himself over with the way that it's going right now? Like I said, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of the whole thing that we're seeing here from James Harden? And I believe, like, let's look really quick again, guys. The Charge Podcast, if you are interested. Shout out to the Bobo Club. I see that he's watching on Twitch. But let's see here. Let's go to Real GM and see if there's like one more story that we can talk about, and then we'll see here. This, to me, I think we'll talk about tomorrow, just because I think it's a very interesting topic. He looks worse than Zion. He looks like a fat Zion. Like it's just kind of one of those things, man. I haven't heard one person in the league who's enjoyed the season, and this is Zach Lowe, of course. I'm not a really big fan of Zach Lowe. I think he can be kind of not a clown. Clown is kind of harsh, but I don't necessarily agree with him. He's worn out his welcome in the league. So you think that, so Sean, if you're a GM of a team, like, you think that nobody is signing James Harden at all? Not even for, to come off the bench and be somebody. Depending if James Harden wants to even do that, even. And this is Zach Lowe saying that, and maybe you know what? Pete, I don't know if you're in the chat or where you're at, if you're watching live or not. But I would like to discuss this one with you because I think this would be an interesting topic to discuss about players not enjoying the season at all. I think that'd be actually a really good one. This one we will discuss tomorrow as well because I think that this, to me, is just kind of one of those things where I feel like there's just... I don't know. I'm not necessarily in agreement with these rules and what's going on, just because I think it's kind of just counterintuitive. I think a bad team will take him. No contender will take him. Yeah, and I think that might be right. And I think he'll probably go to Portland, as kind of the strip club capital of the world. And I think that's where he has to go, honestly. because I think that's kind of what he enjoys. He enjoys that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think he needs to start looking at it, man. And Logan, I'm not talking about like him actually coming off the bench, but look what happened to Allen Iverson. Look what happened to Carmelo Anthony. Like, those guys had to humble themselves. Like, and that's just kind of like the reality of some players sometimes. I'm not saying that James Harden's at that level. He is one of the best scorers in history, Logan, but, you know, with the toxic behavior, it doesn't matter if you're the best scorer or you're the best teammate. Like, there's a reason why a guy like Jared Dudley, who you think is a LA Fitness pickup legend, is still able to be on an NBA roster because he's a team player. Like, as soon as James Harden is as soon as his ability goes down just even a little bit, teams are ready with the quickness to get rid of him. Because his culture, his attitude, and everything about him is just, you're seeing it. Players don't want to play with him. What player right now is screaming that they want to go to Houston? Nobody. No player is screaming that I want to go to Houston to play with James Harden. There's a reason why the market right now, although it's a steep price for James Harden, there's a reason why no one's paying for it. Because if you think that James Harden was that dude, one of the best scorers in NBA history, teams would give up basically their first child to have James Harden on their team. These GMs would pay millions of dollars and trade every single asset that they have in order to get a guy like James Harden if he is the greatest scorer in NBA history. But like I said, there's a reason why a guy like Jared Dudley, who we know is not necessarily like the greatest player, you know, he obviously was a decent player, but there's a reason why he is lasting so long in the league and has played so long in the league. A guy like Channing Frye is the same way. Richard Jefferson a little bit the same way as well. There's a reason why those guys have long-lasting careers is because they're team players and they understand their role. And they understand that they need to play team basketball in order to get to championships and actually do something. And right now, I am not seeing that from James Harden. What I'm seeing from James Harden is that he's getting out of shape. He's not focusing on working to get in shape. And it's just causing a bad situation at hand, in my opinion, to where I think that, you know, we could see a situation where he might be out of the league just like Allen Iverson. And I don't think that's a stretch of the imagination either. I think that you could actually see that. But again, that is just my opinion. And I think that, like, I'm not trying to say like my opinion's right and my opinion's the only one that can be right. What I'm saying here and what I'm trying to kind of argue with you, Logan, is that, like, look, like, he may be the greatest player of all time. But just like in politics, just like in life, just like in sports, just like at school, once your form dips a little bit, or once you're not the popular kid at school, you know, you're the class bully, you bully everybody, right? You have and this is just, kind of what I saw today at practice. You have the leader of the group is just like the bully, like, hey, I'm doing this, and this. And then you see here, like, if there's like any little dip, like if you see any type of anybody else competing for that, top spot of being the leader of the group, as soon as there's a little bit of dip in form, everybody's going to flock over to the other guy. And like I said, like, I know that what James Harden's about. I know that he's a great player. I know what he does. I know that he's a great offensive talent. But man, it is very hard to play with him. I think a lot of people in the league will say that. And Sean, we all know that you were the bully. And I'm talking about you when I talk about this bully scenario. I'm tired of it. I was talking about it. Logan can attest to it. Jalen can attest to it. Josh can attest to it. Sean was the bully. But in all seriousness, everybody, like, it's just one of those things, man, where you're just looking at the whole situation. All right, chill. But anyway, we know, like, James Harden's a great player, but at the end of the day, if you're not willing to, like, put in some sort of effort and, kind of be professional about trying to leave an organization, then I think you're going to be in the same situation that a guy like Carmelo Anthony, who had to, kind of be like, yes, report him, man. Report him. But like I was saying, when it comes to a guy like, he could, like Carmelo Anthony, like I was talking about, Carmelo Anthony, probably one of the best scorers of all time. Like, it rivals James Harden the way that Carmelo Anthony can score the rock. Like, I've never seen a guy with that much offensive ability to not only just score outside, but also score inside, have the different moves. Like, he was ahead of his time. And man, if he was in this era, like, Carmelo Anthony would be so, so good. But, as he got on towards later years, didn't play defense, didn't step up his game. It was kind of like more of like the jab at your defender, pull up. And that just doesn't work anymore. And so it's one of those things that I think if we look at it, we saw that, Carmelo Anthony had to kind of ride the pine a little bit, not be a starter, and finally got on the Trailblazers, worked his butt off, and I believe he's now a starter, if I'm not mistaken, or at least coming off the bench and being a solid player. And that's things that you have to do in order to stay in the league. Like, there are things where, some of these players, they were once great Hall of Fame-esque level players, like Carmelo Anthony, for example. Hall of Fame player. But still has to come off the bench, still has to do the little things, still has to get the rebound, still be a team player without sacrificing his game. And that is what James Harden will eventually have to do unless he changes his game, which I don't see happening. Because I think he likes to run a certain offense and he wants to run a certain way, and that's kind of the reality of what we're seeing here about James Harden at the moment. And so, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But I believe, guys, Boardman. I think it's it. But anyway, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining me here on The Charge. Again, really appreciate everybody that's here. Jalen, Sean, Logan, Gabby, girlfriend. I believe who else was in here? Chris, I saw that you were in here earlier. I know you're complaining about the workout we did today for basketball. It is what it is. But I think it's time to head out. Thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge. Again, guys, we are bringing you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And remember, guys, we are here live Monday through Friday, time subject to change. Obviously, like I said, Tuesdays and Thursdays are probably going to be the days where it's going to be a little bit less time. Just because, or sorry, not less time, but later on in the day, just because of basketball training that I have. And I'll keep you updated on that as well. Well, I meant to say that you are my girlfriend, is what I meant to say, Gabby. Gabby and girlfriend, honored. All right, whatever. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it here for The Charge. Again, guys, bringing the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Tomorrow, we will be going over the mandates, just because the James Harden news broke and I had to talk about it. We will be talking about the mandate that the NBA has set for these players. Jalen, I hope that you're here because we're going to be talking about it because I know that you are a sock. Yes, Jalen, I shouted you out. I already shouted you out. Night, Logan. But Jalen, I already shouted you out, but I do want to get your opinion on this story that I have here about what the NBA is going to be doing. So just be prepared for that, Jalen. I will be asking you that, so hopefully you're here in the chat. My boy Pete might be on. We still have to discuss if he's going to be on or not. But again, guys, thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge. Again, bringing you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Appreciate each and every one of you in here. Remember, guys, the more likes, the more comments in the comment section allows us to have a community that grows here on The Charge, and that's something that we want to do here to help grow the channel and also to help grow the community. I would love to discuss this in a regular forum. ESPN used to have the chat feature on the ESPN websites, and they took those away, which is kind of lame. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.